In today's show, score one for the adults. Jrue Holiday and Jerami Grant power the shorthanded Trailblazers past the even more shorthanded Memphis Grizzlies to get a win Portland really needed. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, talking about the Blazers getting a much-needed, a much-needed 122-114 victory in Memphis. They were shorthanded because Denny did not return. The Grizzlies even more shorthanded because they played the night before and kind of have chosen this life. We'll get into that game, everything that happened. Jrue Holiday was a monster. Jerami Grant delivered in the second half. Rob Williams had a really consistent game because they needed him after Donovan Clingan got kicked out. Plus, there's a lot of news to get into. Blazers added another two-way player. I got an update on that. Plus, a little Chris Youngblood reporting for you. SB 1501, the arena bill passed through the Senate, and Chauncey Billups was in court. We got a lot to get into. We're going to get into all of it. It's what we do. Let's just not waste any more time. Here's your fastest recap in the West. Blazers win 122-114 in Memphis. They kicked off this road trip with kind of an ugly win, and then they lost a couple games, and it's like it's not like the sky is falling, but it felt. It's not like the sky is falling because just like where they're at in the season, right? They're not going to fall out of 10th place. They're going to be in the play-in pretty much regardless of what happens. Even if at this point, if they lose out, they will almost certainly still be in the play-in. So they're there, but it started to feel like they were further away from their goals and that this season hadn't accomplished as much as you had hoped, when at some point this season it felt like they were like, okay, this thing is really getting ready to go. So this was more of like a vibes victory. They needed just to win a game for the vibes. Denny Avdija was listed as questionable. Typically, the way the Blazers have handled injuries is that when guys miss multiple games, they go from out to doubtful, and then when they get listed as questionable, it is the indicator that they are going to return. Denny Avdija spent two days with the doubtful tag. He went into this game with the questionable tag, and then was eventually ruled out. Still missing games with that back injury. I mean, they need to get him right, but he is approaching the point where he's not going to be eligible for end-of-season awards, such that, just shutting him down entirely is on the table, right? Because the reason that you would bring him back is to play and earn the recognition that he deserves because he's had this excellent season. But if he can't play, there's not a lot of reason to chase it. They're not there yet, but they will be there after a Friday's game in Houston. They will be there. They will have arrived at that point where they kind of have to make a decision about what their sort of goals are and what Denny's individual goals are and just where he's at health wise. Obviously, his health is more important than winning Most Improved Player award or whatever, or like having a chance to be on the All NBA ballot. But that matters, right? That matters to him. In any case, the Blazers are playing the Grizzlies, who were on a second night of a back-to-back. Blazers had a couple days off. Grizzlies were in Minneapolis last night. So not only are they traveling, second night of a back-to-back, or not only a second night of a back-to-back, but traveling like a road home back-to-back when you meet a team at home. That's a bummer home game for the Grizzlies. They have some long-term injuries. Zach Edey and John Morant's obviously not playing. My guy Brandon Clark out for basically the entire year. But some players who played the previous evening, Cedric Howard, Taylor Hendricks, Scottie Pippen Jr., Ty Jerome, they're also out of this game. So like the Grizzlies had more available bodies in Minneapolis than they do against the Blazers. Portland, of course, playing without Chris Murray, in addition to Denny Avdia. Chris is out with an illness that has been going through the team. So both teams incredibly shorthanded. Blazers just need a win for the vibes. They kind of flirt with pulling away early in this game. Up 9 in the first quarter, but they're only up 4 after 1. Scoot starts, picks up 2 fouls early in the game. It was kind of a trend that he never gets going, never got a rhythm. I'll talk about that more in a moment. They're up 4 after 1. They go into halftime tied, but about 3 minutes and 15 seconds before halftime, 3:14 if you want to get into the box score, Donovan Clingan gets ejected for elbowing Omax Prosper in the face. That's Olivier Maxence Prosper. Omax, okay. Clingan, I think the NBA has cut and dry rules about contact above the shoulders with an elbow that I don't love. So I knew the moment that Clingan elbowed Omax in the face that he was going to get a flagrant one. That was a done deal. I don't love the ejection here, to be quite honest, y'all. Like, I do think he got him, and I think he kind of, I don't think he swung his elbow necessarily, but I think he cleared space with that elbow and was like, if you get hit, you get hit. If he dies, he dies. But like, I just think that's a single upgrade to a flagrant. The language from the referee was unnecessary and excessive. Okay, sure, whatever. But he gets ejected. Bummer. He had 4 blocks in the first half. He was rolling. He had 4 blocks in the first 21 minutes of the game. He only ended up playing 12 and a half minutes. The Grizzlies are playing so small, and Clingan was kind of, he was holding it down, being a gigantic person. Tied at halftime though with no Clingan. City Sissoko gets the start in the second half as the Blazers match the small ball Grizz with a small ball unit of their own, and they again flirt with pulling away in the third quarter. Jerami Grant has 16, and he doesn't do it at the foul line. No free throws, only hit 2 threes. He's 5 of 6 inside the arc. He tacked the glass, both off the bounce. He got a bucket in transition. This was a Jerami Grant live at the rim quarter, 16 in the quarter. Blazers led by 9, but kind of had an ugly close to the third and ended up going into the fourth, only up 1. Scoot Henderson, 2 fouls in the first 4.5 minutes of the third, ends up back on the bench, plays, he's at like 17 minutes through 3 quarters. Like, he's just not playing very much. Thiago Splitter's not a big foul trouble guy, but he is like you don't have it guy, and Scoots didn't have it in this game. But the Blazers are going to hold on in the fourth quarter because Jrue Holiday brings them home. He has 16 in the fourth quarter and hits 4 threes. Grizzlies never tied the game, obviously never took the lead if they never tied it. The Blazers kind of just hold them off and make sure that it's not a real threat. They win 122-114. Jrue Holiday, 16 in the fourth quarter. He finished with 35 points, 11 assists to go with 5 boards, 13 of 19 from the floor, 8 of 11 from 3. Just an outrageous night, 35 points, 11 dimes, 8 3-pointers. I'm not going to look it up, and I really don't care. But that's one of those. Nobody has done this. No one under 6'3", born in Southern California, has ever done something like this on a Wednesday night in the Central Time Zone. I'm certain that Jrue Holiday has a lot of, I guess, NBA players born in Southern California. But he monster. It was an awesome game. And he really, he brought them home. I also think so the Blazers took 17 threes in the first quarter. Outrageous number. I don't care. I think there are people who watch the Blazers regularly and get upset with how many threes they shoot. I'm not really worried about the overall volume. The math is the math. Those are good shots. Some of the reason that they're not good shots for the Blazers because they brick them all, but some of the reason that they only shoot threes, if they shot 4 less threes a game, it would be fine. It would be a fine number to me. I don't really, but I'm not super worried that they're top 2 in the league in 3-point shots. That doesn't bother me. All just the volume. I'm not a box score watcher. I'm a game watcher. I just think not all threes are created equal. If you touch the paint and kick out, I don't care if you shoot a 3 on every possession, but you got to move the defense. You have to move. You have to make them guard you. And I thought so many of those threes in the first quarter were not moving. Not making the Memphis guard. It was just because Memphis played small. This happens often. is that teams that play small, they switch 1 through 5. And if you switch 1 through 5, you keep everything in front. And against a team like the Trailblazers that doesn't have a lot of dudes who can beat you off the dribble, keeping everything in front can sometimes coax guys who don't have a good handle into taking crappy three-pointers. Swings, can't beat this guy, can't beat this guy. Oh, they switch another pick and roll. Oh, they switch another pick. Oh, they switch another pick. Oh, they switch this off-ball action. Okay, we'll just jack up a three because you don't get that north-south attacking. And I thought the Blazers really in that first quarter kind of got lured into it. They took 17 threes in the first quarter, another 10 in the second quarter, 27 in the first half. That's on pace for 54. They take like in the middle 40s a game. But that's way too many. And then they took 16 total in the second half. That's a normal number. And they made 6 of them. Jrue hit 4 in the fourth quarter, but they stopped jacking up threes, and they realized that also the other thing you can do against a small ball team is attack the rim, and they finally did that in the second half. I got more thoughts on Jrue, more thoughts on Scoot. I haven't even mentioned Rob Williams. I got a real appreciation for him, as well as Jerami Grant. We'll talk about that, plus some news in the second segment. Join me on the other side. Before we get there, though, I want to welcome you to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. I'm going with an oldie but goodie, berry, the big bold berry flavor you love. A little sweet, really fruity. It's smooth and sweet without being overly sugary. It's got a little bit of tartness. It's familiar. You know it. You love it. It's the number one pick in the draft. That's what I'm going for. But maybe you're looking for some sleepers in this 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. Well, how about a newcomer? How about that Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow? What about Cotton Candy? Listen. There's a lot of flavors to choose from, a lot of flavors to pick in your own flavor draft, and the way you're going to do that is you're going to find your favorite flavor. 5-Hour Energy shots are available at 5hourenergy.com as well as on Amazon. Today's program is also brought to you by Game Time. It's the stretch run of the NBA season, and you want to get in the building to feel the crowd, the energy, the big moments. You can be there when big things happen. Getting tickets, though, that part always hasn't been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, and that's with you, the fan of the National Basketball Association. If you want to go to a game, the Game Time app does really make it easy because super simple and intuitive to use. You pull up you say, I want to go see the Pacers on Sunday when the Blazers are finally back in town. I can't wait to see my sweet pinwheels when they're back. Well, you're going to get an arena map on your phone, a map of the venue right on your phone. And then what you see is what you get pricing. There's no surprise fees at checkout. It's all in pricing, all up front. So you'll see it. You can take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. You just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON. You get $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON, locked on, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, gametime.co, not gametime.com. All right. Thanks for making the show your first listen. If you're living the everyday lifestyle, go join the Locked On Everydayer Club. You get access to the members-only Discord where you can chat with me. For real, I'm in there every day. You can chat with me and your fellow Blazer fans about the games, about other things that happen. Plus, you would have gotten a little bit of breaking news about the Blazers' two-way contract situation before it came out on the podcast a full day later. That's $5 a month or $50 a year to get in on the inside, or at least close to the inside with me, your boy, in the Locked On Everydayer Club. A link in the show notes for this episode. Okay, real quick, just like Jrue Holiday professional basketball game. The Blazers were they couldn't get any distance. They're playing a bad Grizzlies team that has 8 dudes, 8 available players. All 8 of them are going to play. Like, it's just, they got Ryan Rupert, who was in the starting lineup, played 32 minutes. He did not play particularly well, but he recently signed a 10-day contract with the Grizzlies. So, it's like, not only do they have 8 players, one of them is brand stinking new. Excuse me. Rupert signed a 2-way contract. I believe I said 10-day. His 10-day expired, and they gave him a deal for the rest of the year on a 2-way contract. Congrats to Rupes on getting a landing spot. But like the Grizz they're really young. they're incredibly shorthanded. They have no size. Their best players, I think you could argue Ty Jerome and Scottie Pippen are probably their best healthy players, along with, Cedric Howard's up there, although I think he struggled the back half of the season after starting really strong. Jalen Wells is probably deserves credit over Coward by a significant margin, but like they're missing most of their best players who were available the night before, and the Blazers are scuffling. And I think Jrue just kind of grabbed the reins at some point and said, like, okay, like we need to be better. I'm going to make sure that we get where we need to go. It wasn't right away. Like he had 6 in the first quarter and 8 in the second quarter, but that's 14 at halftime. 14 of their 59. Like it's on pace for a big game, and he had an even bigger game. Like I think he really understood the what was needed from him and kind of delivered in a way that like a professional basketball player does. And Jrue's been really good recently. He had a stretch right when he came back from injury. It was like, oh, he's been really bad. And they had an awesome game against the Jazz, and then he struggled again. But last 3-4 games, he just looked like, oh yeah, this is the Jrue Holiday who helps. He's not the dominating best perimeter defender in the league that he once was, but this is the Jrue Holiday who helps. He's absolutely been there. I also think some of this, like because they struggled, and Scoot struggled in this game, he did, and it continues to struggle. He goes 1 of 6 from 3, but also I think like importantly 2 of 5 inside the arc and only got to the free throw line for 2 free throws. I just think Scoot never got downhill and put pressure on the rim, and I'm much more worried about him putting pressure on the rim than him shooting bricks. With that said, I recognize that I think he's now 5 for his last 30 from 3. Like he's in a pretty gross funk, and he's fouling too much, and he's just not playing very well. But like for me, the thing that I am actually circling as like I am worried about Scoot is just not being able to get downhill, not being able to say like this team's tiny, I'm just going to blow past someone and get to the rim. I've talked about in the past that I think Scoot has a quick first step, but he doesn't have like that elite, like top tier first step. I just maybe I can't really diagnose exactly what's going on with him, but he's just not playing very well. And then I think like part of that is like, okay, Scoot's not playing very well, struggling a little bit. Let's get him off the ball. And then Jrue Holiday says like, I got to be the steadying presence. But when they put in steadying presence, so much of Scoot is just like, okay, run to the corner. And Scoot off the ball, parked in the corner, he might as well just be in another country. Like right now, he's just not a threat as a cutter or anything off the ball. He'll space a little bit and occasionally take, pull-up jumpers, rising up from the corner to the wing and taking those foul line extended 3-pointers. But he can get lost when he gets moved off the ball. And then they had to move him off the ball by necessity because he was struggling. So I think it feeds itself. He's not very good, so they switch who's going to be the initiator. Then because he's not very good and he's no longer the initiator, he's put into a role where he doesn't really know how to get his. And because he doesn't know how to get his, he ends up being just like mostly a negative. And then he's trying to, okay, I'm going to shoot my way out of this. Like I'm going to, if I get it, I'm going to shoot it because that's my job here. And then it just it feeds itself. I don't know that Scoot is going to magically bounce back at some point. I think he's struggling enough right now that I'm not going to make any predictions. I thought this was a great opportunity game for him to do exactly that. But Scoot's, it's been a real bummer as of late. So I hope we see a better version of him at some point to close out the season, because it is, it's getting tough. It's getting tough for Scooter. He's struggled. He is absolutely struggling right now. Okay, a little bit of news. Oh, I didn't respect to Jerami Grant. I love that he played downhill. I've kind of teased Jerami Grant a little bit on the show that it's like the only way he can score is to draw 13 free throw attempts by just like throwing his long limbs into someone and taking long strides and falling over. And it's like how many times can he fall over taking a jump shot in order to get where he wants to go? Just an unlimited number of fall downs to earn his 25 points. But he was much more assertive. Him and Jrue played like true adults in this game. We need to win. We haven't playing well. There was a moment that's caught on the broadcast that I really loved. Under 2 minutes left in the game, and they give up an offensive rebound, and you could hear Jrue and then Jerami both echo it. We got to box out. We got to box out, which is funny because Jerami Grant's never boxed out in his life. But he did have freaking 9 boards in this game. So shut up, Mike. 30 points, 9 boards, 4 assists. Jerami Grant, an adult game. Jerami Grant's most rebounds he had a game since December. Let's go. Most rebounds in regulation since December. Let's go. Rob Williams, who had to play a little bit more in this game, although he played 23 minutes and 29 seconds. I'm pretty sure he's not allowed to play more than 24 based on how they use him. It is what it is. They're trying to keep him healthy. They have. He had 10 points and 6 boards in the first half. He had 10 points and 5 boards in the second half. He was consistent as you could possibly hope for. He blocked 3 shots. He was 9 of 12. He did what he was supposed to do, grabbed 5 offensive rebounds. They needed Rob to be special. He came in and was special. It's like, hey, we just need you to be bigger. We're going to play a lot of small ball, but when you come in, we need you to be big and play big and act like it. And he did. And I thought Rob deserves a salute. Okay, a bunch of news in the third segment. We got a new two-way player to talk about. We got a little update on the other two-way guy. We got a Senate bill, and we got Chauncey Billups appearing in court. Okay, news to close the show. Join me on the other side. We will get real newsy with it. First, though, I want to tell you about TurboTax. It's tax time. For a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment, that's not the most convenient. Sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond. You're still listening to Locked On Blazers. Blazers announced on Tuesday that they had signed another two-way player. They actually had announced the signing of Jason Kent in conjunction with the signing of Chris Youngblood, but that had previously been reported, and we talked about it on the show. But the Blazers now have a full roster with adding two new two-way players. Chris Youngblood, a 6'5", 220 wing, and now Jason Kent, a 6'8", 215 kind of wingy forward, who is a rookie who has spent most of his season this year with the Rip City Remix. And as I understand it from my personal remix scout, Dan, shout out to Dan in the Locked On Discord, Kent's been a bright spot for the Blazers as of late. On the year with Rip City with the Remix, he's played in 38 games, 19 starts. He's averaging 12 points, 4 boards, an assist, and a steal, playing about 26 minutes a night. 49% from the floor, 39.8%, basically round up, let's do it. 40% from 3, a 92% free throw shooter. He played 5 years in college. He went to start at Bradley, played a couple years at Indiana State, where 1 year at Indiana State, he led the Missouri Valley Conference in 2-point shooting in his second year at Indiana State, a 78% on twos in the MVC. Let's go! That's right. I looked at his basketball reference page, but that one stood out to me right away. And then he finished up his that's at Indiana State. I believe I said at Bradley. At Indiana State, he led the MVC in 2-point shooting his second season, and then finished up his collegiate career at Texas, where he was a reserve. He joins the Blazers on a 2-year, 2-way deal. I doubt we'll see him. He was not on the trip. He's with the Remix tonight, and he was out on a out G League assignment. Right. I don't think he'll play. Maybe he'll get on the active list. I imagine he'll be on the bench when they're back in Portland. But I can't without something going haywire, I don't think he's going to be getting an opportunity. You sign him to a 2-way contract or 2-year 2-way contract because you want him to be part of the future. So 2 years, that first year is the rest of this season, and then the following next year. 2-way contracts are inherently non-guaranteed, so there's no actual commitment. There's a guarantee date once the season starts, but there's no guarantee right now. According to SpotTrack's Keith Smith. In addition, Chris Youngblood's contract is also for 2 years. That's what I had speculated that it had to be. Chris Youngblood was on the active list tonight. He got a DNP CD, but he did get to wear a jersey and was with the team, and he'll continue on in Houston. I imagine we will see his availability in terms of active list. Depends. I guess it depends on whether Chris is available to play and Denny is available to play. But Youngblood, you will recall that he had used up all 50 of his games playing with OKC, so he had run out of eligibility with Oklahoma City, but he was waived on February 6th. And and this is according to a spokesperson with the Blazers, was able to confirm this for me, because he was past waivers and cleared waivers and wasn't picked up and then re-signed with a new team, he does indeed get his games eligibility reset, but they are prorated based on when they are signed. So both Kent and Youngblood have 12 games that they can play, be on the active list for the Blazers for the remainder of the season. We'll see how often they get on the active list. I imagine that matters a lot with just availability. Obviously, I don't think the Blazers will make Caleb Love active unless they're absolutely going to play him. Because he only has 5 games left. So I think for right now, they'll kind of probably rotate Kent and Youngblood, maybe if they just need like a emergency break the glass type of guy, and maybe they think Youngblood, because he's played a lot more NBA minutes this season than Kent, who has yet to play in the NBA, then maybe he'll be always the sort of like break the glass emergency guy. Okay, that's your 2-way news. Shout out to Keith Smith for the reporting on 2-way contracts. Keith's the best former and future guest on the program, and always someone that is helpful to me when I have questions. So that's your Youngblood and your Kent news. SB 1501, that's Senate Bill 1501, which is the arena funding bill that's going to raise $365 million of public money plus additional money that will be that part of the bill. We'll get additional money from the county as well as the city of Portland in order to raise about $600 million create $600 million of bond money to renovate the Moda Center. That bill passed the Senate and heads to the House. Governor Tina Kotek has already said she'll sign the bill. This thing it's on its way. It's as mentioned, sort of when the session started, that if this passed the sort of first level of the Senate bill and of the Senate and got like through that first round of voting as it was intended, the momentum was going to be there. I think the momentum is there. I think this is where we're headed. It was always inevitable the public money would pay for the Blazers arena in some form or fashion, and now we know the form or fashion. That is official. It's not a done deal because it has to be signed by the governor and all that, but we're getting there. And then they will have to negotiate with Tom Dundon once this. This is the mechanism to create the public money, and then they will negotiate a deal with Tom Dundon once he takes over the Blazers, and I'll probably just give him more money. I'll probably just say yeah, cool. What else do you want, big guy? Okay. Speaking of the Blazers and court and negotiating, your boy, the way it works. Head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, Chauncey Billups, was in court in New York today, and this is according to reporting from Alex Schiffer of Front Office Sports, who was in the courtroom. Schiffer used to write for The Athletic and now writes for Front Office Sports. It was federal prosecutors. They are met with. They held a trial, or they were in court with 31 defendants who were arrested in October in relation to the same thing that Billups was arrested for the roles in a rigged poker ring. They're in the Eastern District of New York. Here we go. It's the mafia-tied fixed gambling, and they are reportedly, according to Schiffer, expected to offer plea agreements to a dozen defendants in the coming days and, quote, have had productive talks with at least 9 more and are optimistic the case can avoid going to trial. So that would be like, at least there, you're talking about 21 of the 31 defendants will get a plea deal before this thing were to go to trial in the fall. Chauncey had previously pled not guilty. As I understand it, that is a typical approach, even if you were eventually going to reach a plea agreement, that in your initial arraignment, you'd say not guilty, hire a lawyer, whatever. According to Schiffer, as they do. This isn't explained in the story, but I can picture it because so can you. Billups walking out of the courtroom with his attorney and saying, blah, 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 blah. Like the crowd, like, do you have any comment on this? And then you just walk to the cars. You can hear the yelling and the photos flashing and the flash bulbs and all those things. I guess you don't really hear the flash bulbs anymore. That's kind of old school, but you know what I'm talking about. Like the screaming as someone walks from the courtroom to their car. And in Chauncey's case, what one would imagine a big black SUV with tinted windows. But like this is not particularly meaningful in terms of this is more like procedural. But and you'll remember that I had a Department of Justice expert, a former member of the Department of Justice, a legal expert on the show who had predicted that like the way that the case initially read, that it was pointed in the direction of taking a plea deal. Billups obviously does not have to do that. He can go to trial if he wants, and he has a big, powerful attorney to defend him if he chooses to go that route. I think the only thing that would be meaningful is that if he does reach a plea deal, that probably just automatically voids his contract without any mess. But here's the actual trick. There's going to be a new owner. There's a reasonable chance that if there had been an owner in place, that like a not lame duck owner in place, they would have already just fired Chauncey Billups, and they would have said, hey, instead of the acting head coach, which is what they're calling what they're calling Tiago Splitter, he would be named the interim head coach. But the Allen estate says, that is someone else's problem. We're not going to deal with the legal mess that is, because now Billups' money is going into escrow. And so like conceivably, if he were to be found not guilty, he could get his money that he was owed, or like sue for it or whatever it is. I think instead it is what's most likely to happen is Dundon will just say, you're fired. And again, they'll pay the money that he's owed into escrow. But eventually, if he's found guilty or reaches a plea deal, then he would not be given that money, and the money that exists in escrow would be returned to the Blazers. I don't know who it would be returned to. Would it be returned to the Allen estate? Would it be returned to Dom Dundon? That's for someone else to worry about. I don't care. It's not my money. But just in terms of tracking the news, Billups, and we don't know. That's the reporting here that's key. Neither Alex Schiffer or any of the other quick reports that I scanned have an inkling whether Billups will reach a plea deal, but certainly that will be big headline capital news, because that's who people care about in this case is Billups and Damon Jones. And some other people who got caught up in the mess. That's going to do it for today's program. This is what we do 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. Come back for Friday's show. Tell your friends about the podcast. I appreciate you listening. I will talk to you soon.